So, listen, the people have spoken, and what they said was loud and clear, and definitely unmistakable. This past election day wasn't just about the ballots, it was about boundaries, all right? And rejecting the chaos, this cruelty that we see going on in these streets, and the extremism that has been supposedly leadership coming from 45/47 and the rest of the maggots. So today, I want to get into what this blue wave means and why voters turned out the way they did and the message that this country just sent to the MAGA movement. Because, like I said, my protesting the was in the polls when I went to vote. I ain't getting out in these streets and protesting anything but much respect to the people who are out there doing the No Kings rally and the other ones. So let's just get into it, guys, and let's be beautifully honest. What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the politics and BS.
Regime media, which calls itself Fox News, was in an utter panic all last night. They could not handle not just the blue wave, but the blue tsunami that crushed MAGA on election day, this massive repudiation of Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. I want you to watch this utter cope by all of these Fox hosts. This is probably the favorite video I've ever done on Fox, at least in recent memory. So you had one of the Fox contributors, Ari Fleischer, and he was like, look, if I take all this data tonight, I think I'd rather be big picture a Republican than a Democrat. Oh, really? Is that how you're going to cope? Here, play this clip.
Socialism is a growing problem for the Democratic Party. And the more the Democrats embrace socialism with all the horrors that it entails, the crime that'll take place in New York City, the abandonment of New York City by the successful and the taxpayer, this is what's going to hurt the Democratic reputation and base going forward. It's hollowing out the Democratic Party. I would so much rather, even with tonight's bad results, be the Republicans in the big picture than the Democrats. There's also, I just want to add, a race in Maine we should pay attention to tonight. It's a ballot initiative to see if voters in Maine want to mandate driver's licenses in order to vote. That looks like it's going to pass. So outside of the bigger races here, pay attention to Minneapolis, pay attention to that ballot initiative in Maine. But it's a tough night for Republicans. But it sets up 26. Republicans are running against socialism.
State.
See, the way they try to flip things over there on Fox News is just hard to stomach. It's just really ridiculous because it's like all this bullcrap that they talk about socialism, but they'd rather be under a dictatorship. They'd rather be under someone like who's currently in the White House right now, who has ICE dragging people out of cars, throwing them down on the ground. I saw one where a older white woman actually got pow-powed in the head. Like, this is what's going on right now in the streets of America. Whoever thought that we would see stuff like this? But they want to talk about socialism. I would rather see that. And the way that they try to make socialism seem, it's as if it's this hugely terrible thing. Oh, I'm for capitalism. But yet, with capitalism, you have these multi-millionaires, one that's on record to possibly become a trillionaire, Elon Musk, who has the majority of the money, and everyone else, for the most part, they're trying to get by. They're trying to wipe out the middle class and all of these other things that are going on. You'd rather that than to see people be able to get healthcare, free healthcare, everyone have the opportunity to get educated. You have 45/47 that pretty much wiped away the ability for states to not allow medical debt to be on people's credit reports. You want to hold people in hostage to debt. You don't want people to get their student loans wiped away. They're struggling. A lot of people can barely make it by, but You'd rather what's going on right now than an alternative. Get the heck up out of here.
Americans, there was a blue wave last night. It's very exciting. It's very encouraging, especially as we prepare to go into the midterms next year. Definitely enjoy the euphoria and celebrate. But I want to be the voice of reality too. I want you all to not forget the lessons that we learned last year. What were the main lessons that we learned? Number one, we learned that we stand alone, Black Americans. We were overwhelmingly the only group that voted for progress and democracy. No other marginalized group stood with us. What that means
Mhm.
is that, yes, be happy that there was the beginnings of a blue wave. Continue to vote in your local elections and definitely vote blue in the midterms. But we have to understand that there are nuances. And when it comes to getting what we as a community want, we are standing alone. That's okay because we are enough. But we cannot lose focus and start relaxing and
Mhm.
resting on our laurels. We have learned that so called white liberals and progressives are the same flavor of the same brand of ice cream as MAGA and conservatives in the Republican Party. And the main way that we get what we want is to continue to speak with our money, like what we have been doing. Continue canceling the holidays, canceling Christmas, boycotting from here on
Mhm.
until, again, we get Black Americans what we want. I'm so happy that Democrats sweep elections last night. However, I have not lost sight of those realities. The other lesson that we learned is that the reason that we do not have a kind, intelligent, competent, well qualified president sitting in the White House is because she is a Black woman, period. That is the bottom line. No matter what all the political analysts and talking heads and pundits say, that is the main reason. Mamdani is now mayor of New York. He is a Democrat. That's the only reason I'm happy for New York. He definitely is better than Cuomo or any other candidate, especially Republican or otherwise. However, I will never forget or forgive how last year, because he is Muslim American, he did not support Kamala Harris. He claims that he voted for her in the voting booth. He claims. I'm going to leave it at that. But he platformed that damn non committed movement. Now, when he launched his campaign for mayor, he did get endorsed by graceful Kamala Harris. But I'm so tired of we Black Americans supporting people who turn around and spit in our face.
And I agree with that. And the thing about it is, what he's saying is 100% true. But unfortunately, a lot of the Black people who were on these platforms or have platforms that were speaking against voting for Kamala last year or saying, your vote is sitting on the couch, don't do anything. That is a vote for the other. You cannot do that. You just can't do that. You have to participate. I don't know how much more people need to get that and understand that. And I will say actually fortunately a lot of the things that 45/47 has happening right now is not only affecting Black people, it's affecting white farmers, it's affecting, you know, middle class white people, lower class white people, whatever you want to call it. It's not just affecting Black people, it's also affecting other, the Mexicans, the, Cubans, the other, the other ethnicities. They're getting bombarded with horrible things happening to them so that they could see that when 45/47 and MAGA, when they see you, they say they not like us. They don't see you as one of them. You may feel like you're not one of us, Blacks, and you're not, but you're definitely not white. And so you have a point there, gentlemen, but also it's like, damn, we're damned if we don't. We have to vote, and we cannot vote for the others. And that's the thing. It's not about being a Democrat. It's not about being a Democrat at all. The blue wave that just happened, it's because people do not want to live under this authoritarian, you know, way of living. Democracy ain't perfect, but it's better than what they're trying to make it out to be.
And just because, again, these people are Democrats, that does not mean that they have the interest of the Black American community at their heart. We know how Democrats have taken advantage of our vote in the past, especially Black women. So, again, I am tempering everybody's excitement with a word of caution. We need to keep focus, keep our eyes on the prize, continue to vote with our dollars. Yes, Blue Wave is fantastic. And we need to continue this momentum into the midterms. However, bear in mind, Black Americans, that we have to stand collectively for what we want and continue to keep the economic pressure on until we, as a group, are satisfied. Black America.
So yeah, you gotta use your money. You gotta you gotta think green. Can't really think black, white, or other. You gotta think green.
Oh wait, did Democrats get everything? Did we lose any races? Because Mike Sherrill, Abigail, Mom Donnie's about to get called, and I guess they just called California for Prop 50. uh, please and thank you. So wait,
So yeah, the thing, when it comes to these races, there's a lot of them that were school boards, and in states like Mississippi and Georgia, that they didn't make like the national news. It wasn't like big time news like the mayoral race in New York with Zoran Mamdani, things like that. There are a lot of people that were just like going against the grain, saying enough is enough, and we're mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore because this is just absolutely ridiculous the way that things are going, and we just are we're tired of it. It's been 10 months going on 11 months of craziness, and we just can't take this anymore because it's already gotten worse, and we don't really see it getting any better if we keep the same people in the positions that are currently there. This kind of sums up the difference between waking up on November after the election versus waking up in 2024 versus waking up in November after the election in 2025. Ciao. I saw this and I was like, you know what? They got that one spot on, and I have to agree. But listen, for most black people with sense, when 45/47 started talking about make America great again, we already knew what he was talking about. And we were not trying to go back to those times. And then when you have seen people literally on social media, literally saying things like, I can't wait to have you back in chains. I'm going to have you working for me. You're going to be my slave. He has given people that literally are disgusting pieces of, you know what, the ability to be racist out loud. They already felt that way, but he's given a lot of those people the the freedom to be racist out loud, but you can't make jokes about him because then it's illegal. It's crazy, right? All of those things that have been happening when he started running and just leading up to where it is now, people are rejecting authoritarianism. They're not trying to return to 1950 or before. And these fair campaigns, the conspiracy theories, and all of this rage politics, it's just like people have had enough. MAGA, they pretty much overplay their hand. They've been attacking birth control, IVF, women's bodies, talking about Social Security shouldn't exist, of just being openly supporting political violence against people on the other side of the aisle. It's like crazy. But listen, hate should not be a policy. Chaos in leadership is disgusting. And people cannot be governed under fear forever. This is not what people want to see as a whole. So, do you think the GOP is going to learn from this or they're going to double down? I feel like they're going to double down. They're going to try their best to just try to control not just the narrative, but the votes to prevent more sweeping victories for those on the other side of the aisle from happening again. But I say, like the guy said in the video, you got to stay vigilant, use your money wisely, and you have to vote. You have to participate. The system is not perfect by far. It never has been. But what we've seen is that system that was already not perfect and slightly broken, they're trying to get rid of it. Because when he was running the last time, he said, Christians, go out and vote. We're going to have it fixed so you don't even have to worry about doing it again. And I took those words seriously. They're really trying to make it so people cannot vote anymore. And hearing him talk about a third term and other people, even these stupid media people and these reporters asking questions. Why are you even asking this narcissist a question about if he's considering to run for a third term? They would have never asked President Obama that, ever. Or any of the other ones for that matter. But none of the things that he are doing, President Obama would have been able to get away with. And let's not forget, they impeached Bill Clinton because he got a blowjob. Something personal that didn't have anything to do with the nation. But this man has been screwing the nation without any Vaseline, ramming them up the rear, and they have been taking it and allowing it to happen. So yeah, this blue wave, it needed to happen and it needs to continue. So I want to know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.